What is going on, guys? It's Tom here, aka Funky Garvantula, and today we bring you episode 3 of the Minecraft Vanilla series. So super keen to get into this today. There's a lot to go through. It does involve us trying to find a fortress, and well, I suppose you're going to see the outcome of that, so do stay tuned. And we're also actually going to do a little bit of exploring today as well, see if we can find any of that hidden treasure that we are so longing after. So let's get straight into it, guys. So the first thing I wanted to do in this episode was show you guys the villagers that I managed to get over from the Nether. Off stream, this was in the end. It was a painstaking process. I mean, I spent about an hour and a half, I think it was already, on the last stream trying to get villagers across, and that didn't work. So I thought, right, you know what, to save you guys the time of having to watch this painful process, I'll do it off cam. It took about another hour and a half. It was painstaking. But you know, it's one of those things that's so essential to do. I also managed to breed one of the villagers as well. In terms of how to breed villagers and stuff like that, what I'll do is I'll put something in the description of this video if you don't know how to breed villagers. But it's a really simple process. You just got to make sure there's an extra bed for a baby villager. You got to make sure they've got some food, they've got a good shelter, and also maybe doing 1 or 2 trades with that villager as well. Another really important thing that I actually wanted to show you guys as well is I was doing some AFK fish farming when I finished off the last stream as well, after getting the villagers across. And as you see there, Fortune 3 enchantment book. Now, this is super important for me at this particular stage in the Minecraft Vanilla series. Reason being for that is because the Fortune 3 book increases the drops that you get if you put it on like a pickaxe, for example. It increases the amount of drops that you get per like diamond ore, per coal ore, and also for things like lapis and redstone. Doesn't work on iron or like gold ore, for example, because when you break those blocks, they actually stay as ores. However, with things like diamond and coal, lapis, redstone, as you see, when you break an ore, it turns into its physical sort of redstone form or diamond form or whatever. You don't have to smelt it or anything like that. So basically, with a Fortune 3 pickaxe, instead of getting like 1 diamond per drop, you've got the potential to get up to 4 diamonds per drop. So think about it like that. You know, if you've got an 8 vein of diamond, 8 times 4 is 32. If you were really lucky with a Fortune 3 pickaxe, you got a potential to land 32 diamonds off 1 vein, which is astronomically high. So I was very excited to see that come through. The next books that we'll be looking for will be things like mending and stuff like that, but hopefully for now Fortune 3 should see us get to wherever we need to go. Now, something else that I wanted to get on with today as well was actually sort of beginning to build up the storage room area a little bit more. So I did end up building this up a few more layers. As you can see, I've got loads and loads of stone bricks at hand, because basically it was just looking so unfinished, and you know, a lot of the other buildings at the moment are not looking very much finished because we've been trying to do loads and loads of other things all at the same time. Really, I've not had much of a structure just yet with this world. It's kind of been, yeah, you know, let's build a bit of this building here, let's go to a fortress, let's do this, that and the other. And it's not really been paying off as much as as much as it should be at the moment. It's like loads of things are in process, but nothing is truly finished. So I definitely wanted to sort of get a move on with this, so to speak, and see where this goes as well. Now, moving away from the storage room, one of the really important things that I wanted to achieve in today's episode was actually getting to a Nether Fortress. Now, as we're actually about to get there, we are very politely welcomed by some fans, as you can see here. These pillagers, maybe not the nicest fans, they did want to somehow and for some reason want to kill me. So we had to quickly deal with these guys. But yeah, basically the really important thing from this for this episode that I wanted to achieve was get to a fortress. Reason being is because of blazes and blaze rods. So blaze rods are really helpful, not only for brewing in the form of blaze powder, but also the blaze powder can be used to make eyes of ender. Eyes of ender are used to get to strongholds, and and the reason why strongholds are important is because it means that we can get to the ender dragon. Something else that we wanted to do as well was maybe see if we could actually find some wither skeletons as well. Reason why wither skeletons are important is because wither skeleton skulls, which is I think a 2% drop, or slightly less than that actually, it might be a 1.5% drop, possibility. But if you have 3 wither skeletons and 4 soul sand, you can spawn the wither. And the reason why the wither is important is because once defeated, a wither will drop a nether star, and with the nether star, that can be used to make beacons, and beacons have a whole host of benefits. Most namely for myself, it is actually probably haste 2, which essentially means that we can insta-mine, which is absolutely insane because in terms of getting core resources like cobblestone, for example, it means that we can just do this so much quicker. It means that we can build the village even faster as well, and therefore it just makes our job in general so much easier. So that is also why beacons are really helpful, and these resources can only be gained from actually going to a fortress, getting wither skeleton skulls, getting the wither spawned and defeating it. So it all kind of stems from the fortress, which just kind of further bolsters the fact that fortresses are so valuable in this game for so many different reasons. But let's go straight into it now, guys, and let's see how the search for the fortress goes. So here we are, guys, at long last. We are finally at a fortress. It has taken a little while, a little bit longer than planned. I'm usually quite lucky with finding fortresses quite quickly. This one did require a little bit of, I suppose, excavation and exploration as well to actually get to, but we did finally reach it, which means we can now finally begin our fortress adventure in terms of finding our blazes and our wither skeletons and all things like that as well. So let's have a bit of an explore and see where things lead us. Now, one of the first things that I wanted to tackle was this lone blaze, just sort of sitting there on his own, just having a good time. Obviously wanting to burn me to death, because that's what blazes like to do. And without a bow, these things can be quite annoying to defeat, if you don't have like sort of correct armor and stuff like that. Luckily I did, but at the same time, I did also have a wither skeleton trying to attack me as well, and it did wither me, which brought me down to 2 hearts, which is a little bit of a, not the welcome that I was kind of hoping for in the first few seconds of getting into a fortress. As you can see in the distance there as well, there is a blaze spawner, rather. I can't speak today, but we did find a blaze spawner there, and yeah, let's continue searching. Let's see what we find. After a couple of minutes of deliberation, I thought to myself, you know what, this is the closest thing. Let's have a quick attack at this blaze spawner right here. Let's try and get some blaze rods and sort of just really get ourselves ahead of the game in regards to those as well. Because to make Eyes of Ender, you require blaze powder. So it'd be 1 blaze powder and 1 ender pearl to make an Eye of Ender. And there is a possibility in a stronghold that you will need 12 Eyes of Ender to fill all of the end portals. So the aim was that I wanted to get a minimum of 12 blaze powders. Now, when you defeat a blaze, you get a blaze rod, and 1 blaze rod turns into 2 blaze powders, which means that realistically at a minimum I would need 6 blaze rods, but I do want to aim for more than that as well, because blaze rods can be very helpful for other things as well. So blaze rods can be used to make brewing stands, and the respective blaze powder that you make from a blaze rod is also used to power a brewing stand as well, which is good. And as you can see there, that was the first instance of unluckiness in the Nether Fortress. I was trying to escape quite a lot of blazes in one go because they were sort of getting a little bit overwhelming. I didn't really have the correct tools at hand. I mean, I had a diamond sword and stuff like that, which is really good, but ideally I could have probably done with maybe like a better bow, or like an enchanted bow or something. So we had to very quickly try and get our stuff back. So let's see how we got on with that. So as you can see here, guys, we decided to take a leap of faith after seeing the items from very high up. It did get rid of 6.5 hearts to jump down from there, which is not ideal, but at least, at the very least, we managed to get our stuff back, which is what is important here. We managed to actually get all of the armor back, alongside other things as well, but it did turn out that we actually lost our sword, which is not very good at all. I did have a bow, like a weak bow, and had a couple of arrows, but that was now really my only means of attack on anything. So at this point it was kind of time maybe to sort of start being a little bit more careful, but knowing me and knowing what I like to do, I don't have a lot of patience whatsoever. Although it may seem like I do sometimes, I really don't have that much. So as you can see here, I wanted to try and get some more of my items back, because I had a couple of stacks of stone bricks as well that I needed to recover. So we dropped our hearts down a little bit more. Luckily didn't do too much, but we did manage to get those things back as well. But as I was saying, knowing me, it's even though I didn't have a sword at this point, I figured, you know what, let's go back into the fortress. So let's just have a little look and see how we got on with that. So once I'd gotten back into the fortress, we had a look in this chest here, and what do we find? We find a golden sword, which is really, really lucky in some ways. I mean, chests do tend to spawn quite a lot of different items in the Nether, but given that I had no sword at this point after losing it from the last death, finding a sword was an absolute godsend to me, especially given the fact that there is a blaze there, there's a blaze down the stairs there, and also, as you may see in a second, the blaze has a little friend with him as well, who begins to attack me because he is just such a nice guy. And if we look to our left, boom, there he is. There's a wither skeleton, and I mean, I love wither skeletons, don't get me wrong. They have great drops. They're pretty cool, chill dudes, but when I've got running a diamond sword and I've already been attacked by a blaze and I'm slowly burning to death, the last thing that I really want to encounter is a wither skeleton, especially with that wither effect as well. It just proves to be a little bit frustrating to battle against, but we go on regardless. We find ourselves some gold ingots, see a couple more blazes in the distance over there, and we just carry on exploring, really, just seeing if we can find anything that is of use. Of course, down there, just as you saw briefly, there is some soul sand and some nether warts as well, which is always really good. We'll come and get those a little bit later on, but in this chest here we see some really good items. We see some nether warts, which are really good for brewing as well. We see some diamond horse armor, a saddle, some flint and steel as well. I mean, we've already got a flint and steel, but that is, you know, it's very, very helpful nonetheless. But the saddle, because we've got an AFK fish farm, I don't really know why I put the saddle in my chest, because I've already fished up quite a few of those, but apparently in my head at the time, it was a really, really good idea to have that. And as you see here right now, our little wither friend has decided to follow us. We have no way out either, so we just have to attack this guy and just see if we can break him down. But as you will soon see, this was probably one of the luckiest wither skeletons I've ever come across, because it's the first one that we've killed, and also actually I think the second one that we've killed, and it has a wither skeleton skull. So we get an achievement for that, which is Spooky Scary Skeleton, and that is super important, as I mentioned to you guys earlier, which basically means that with 3 of those and 4 soul sand, we can actually spawn a wither, get a nether star, and look at building a beacon. So that was just the first one of the 3. And I need to stress to you guys that with wither skeletons, the drop percentage chance without looting enchantments on your sword is like 1.5 to 2%. It is so low. So for us to get one on the second wither skeleton that we have defeated is absolutely unbelievable. It is like, it is so rare. It is so rare. So I was absolutely chuffed with myself that we managed to get that. But also with that great power comes great responsibility. And now that I'd actually acquired a wither skeleton skull, I was getting a little bit more cautious. 1, because of my heart count, because I had no food at this point. And 2, because obviously we had such a rare item on us as well. So even you can probably tell by my movements a little bit now that I'm beginning to get a little bit more cautious about my my general movements and kind of how I need to get out of here. I mean, I jotted down the coordinates of where we got to, but fortresses nonetheless are still quite confusing to get around. So I'm kind of at this point now beginning to frantically search a little bit more in terms of getting out. So, you know, just sort of having a bit of a look around, you know, getting a little bit nervous because it just seems like there's just no way out of this labyrinth of rooms and corridors. I've got blazes attacking me. I'm not very high on health right now. So you can sort of sense the tension there. We also need to jump over this as well. So every jump at this point is like really kind of crucial and critical. I have to land every jump literally bang on. But yeah, let's just see the outcome of that. Let's just see how this ends. Well, this is it, guys. This is how it ends. So we finally get to sort of the lower levels of here. We have been building walls to get ourselves down. I'm on half a heart at this point after having suffered a little bit of fall damage. And there we go. There we go. We had pretty much gotten, and as you can see from my face, there's visible frustration behind that smile right there. But this was so annoying. It was so annoying because I just knew that I had to run back all the way to that fortress again. I didn't have the coords written down, I don't think, either, for that exact death point where we were at. So as you can see right now, we're having to sort of go through our old items. We're having to try and build ourselves up. Don't ask me why there's an axe in there. I do take that out. I don't know why I put an axe in there. I don't know, chop down the wither skeletons or something like that. I don't know what it's going to be for. But yeah, it was just so frustrating at this point. So as you can kind of quite visibly tell now, the fortress adventure today, whilst has been productive, I guess, it also hasn't had the best outcome, because obviously we've gotten that with a skeleton skull. It was so good, and now there's a risk that we're going to lose it because we're not going to be able to find the items in time, simply because there's no coords for this death point, or anything like that. So we're really just going to have to try and kind of have a look around. I mean, I'm trying the best that I can here and making like loads of items and stuff like that so that we're best prepared for going in, but we will see if we can find these items. So do stick around and let's see the outcome. The short answer to the outcome is that we unfortunately couldn't find everything. It was all now lost. We did spend quite a considerable amount of time trying to find out where it was that I died, but somehow just could not find that exact point. It was so frustrating. One of the drawbacks maybe was because I used nether bricks as the walls, and I mean, I suppose they kind of probably molded in quite nicely with the walls of the Nether Fortress, and it was probably just one of those things where it kind of just tricks the eye a little bit and you just can't find it. So what I did is I just kind of played it a bit more carefully this time. The aim was to get some more blaze rods, because that was really what we came here for. I mean, the Wither Skeleton Skull was great, but it wasn't what we actually came here for on this occasion. On this occasion, it was purely just to get to get blaze rods, so that we could get blaze powder and make ice fender. So that is the reason why we came back. Now, we did manage to get a couple. We managed to get a couple of blaze rods, which was good. We also got a magma cream as well, which can also be used in brewing, which is interesting. So I picked that up, obviously, as you would do, because magma slimes aren't the most frequently appearing thing in the Nether. In fact, they're probably one of the lesser appearing things in the Nether. So I was like, well, you know what, we might as well pick a magma cream. There could be a use for this in the future. But yeah, that's basically and unfortunately the outcome of today's Nether Fortress excursion. Definitely will be returning here when we're a bit better equipped. But unfortunately, it didn't go quite the way we wanted it to on this occasion. So let's just return back home and do some mining. So following an unsuccessful trip to the Nether Fortress, I decided, right, okay, it's time to do some mining again. We meet a little friend here, and I notice all of a sudden that I'm seeing quite a few zombies, like, in an area that's actually pretty well lit as well. So I was kind of thinking to myself, like, what on earth is going on here? So I get up to here, and as you can see, I found another spawner. Like, we found a spawner, I think it was in either the last video or the first video that we did for the Minecraft series. We found a skeleton spawner, and we happened to have some luck again in terms of finding a zombie spawner as well. So obviously I'm trying to sort of frantically fight these guys off just so I can really quickly get the torches around here as well, so that we can stop the spawns and get the items. We find a golden apple in there, which is insane. I love golden apples, so helpful, and some other useful items, I guess, as well, but nothing compared to obviously what we find in the second chest as well, as you will soon see. Just trying to move loads of stuff around at this point, because all of these items here at this point in time have a use. But in the other chest, we actually find a music disc, and music discs aren't that frequently seen, nor do they really have much actual use, but I just love music discs. So for me, this is like a massive win. We will definitely be getting that into a jukebox at some point, so that we can play those famous Minecraft bops. But yeah, just thought I'd show you guys that little element there of our little mining excursion that we just started doing. Bear in mind, this was really not very long after we actually started mining as well that we found this. So we've actually, in terms of mining, we've actually seen ourselves getting quite a bit of luck, which is really, really positive to see. And it definitely gives me a lot of reassurance for all of the rest of the mining that we're going to be doing down in these little dungeons here. So let's see how this continues to unfold. Following our little fun mining adventure there, I needed to get all the cobblestone into the auto furnaces straight away so that we could make some more stone, and subsequently stone bricks as well, to continue with the construction of what is going to be many of our different buildings in this village as time goes on. So it's obviously not really a lot in the grand scheme of things at the moment, but every little helps in terms of that cobblestone there. We did also manage to find some more coal as well, so that we can continue fueling the auto furnaces as well, because as handy as auto furnaces are, of course, they do get through coal quite quickly, which is not always ideal, but you know, it's really the only way you can do it until you get silk touch and mending on a pickaxe. But that's one of the things we managed to do. We also managed to tame a cat as well, which is, I suppose, going to be called Percy, so that's also a really fun thing as well. Following the fun of taming a cat and calling it Percy, I went back mining, and we came across a mine shaft again. I believe it's the same mine shaft that we've seen before, but this time our armor is a little bit better than it was, so I figured, you know what, it's definitely worth us having a little bit of a gander. So what I'm going to do is turn this into a little time lapse just to sort of see what we find, and I will see you guys in a minute. I'm going to stop it right here, guys, just so that I can show you kind of what items we came across. And as you can see there, we actually got quite a few good items. We got diamonds, you know, we got coal, we got loads of lapis, redstone, gold ore, like all sorts of different items from this search here. And I figured, you know what, we'll call it a day now on the mine shaft, and we will return back to mining. But let's just continue to see just how things further unfold in the later stages of this episode. So following a full day of constant tension, pressure, all sorts of different emotions and feelings from not only the Nether Fortress but also from mining and finding so many different things in there, I figured, you know what, it's time for us to have a bit of a different type of adventure now, and it does involve a boat, which only means one thing, which is that I want to explore the open waters. And why do I want to explore the open waters at this point, you may ask? Now, for me, at this point, obviously, we're not ready to do ocean monuments, nor do I know where one is right now. But what I do want to find is things like shipwrecks, and I would also really like to find a buried treasure map, just to kind of nicely finish off this video. So I'd like to find a treasure map, see if we can find some treasure, you know, get ourselves one of those coveted hearts of the sea that we can use to make a conduit in future videos as well, and just see what other items we can come across as well. Typically when you get a buried treasure map and you find the treasure, you find a whole variety of different loots and treasures and wonders, basically. So it's always very exciting when you do get a buried treasure map. So that is the aim right now. So let's see if we can find ourselves a shipwreck first and foremost. Now, after about 15 to 20 minutes of searching, we finally got onto some open body water that was larger than just like a river, basically. This one was more like an ocean, which was fantastic. And as you can see here, we do come across a shipwreck, which is awesome. Like, it is so good. And the great thing about this shipwreck as well is that it is a big shipwreck, which means there is a strong possibility of there being 3 chests. It might be 2, but there is a possibility that it could be a 3-chest shipwreck. And even in the first chest, we see loads of iron and we see 2 diamonds as well, which is so important. Like, it was actually such a good little find, and it wasn't even hard to see either. It was just sitting there, it was sticking out like a sore thumb. It was like, come on dude, take my treasure. And then we go into this chest right here, and what do we find? We find a buried treasure map, the exact item that we were looking for, which means that we are now going to find even more treasure, which is super, super cool. So I was very, very happy to find this. And bear in mind, this was the first shipwreck that we came across as well. Not every shipwreck has a buried treasure map in one of the chests. So this was a really, really lucky find for us. So now we've gotten some items and we've gotten that buried treasure map. Let's go and look for some treasure. After what was literally a tiny, tiny amount of searching, we already found where we needed to go. It was so quick. I have, well, maybe once ever come across a buried treasure map where the treasure is actually located so closely. Sometimes I have to travel, like, you know, upwards of like 400 blocks out to actually find treasure. This one was super, super close. It was definitely within a couple of 100 blocks of where this ship was. So this is really lucky to start off with. What I'm going to do is time-lapse all of the sand breaking, because it is a little bit tedious and monotonous trying to find that dreaded treasure chest. But let's see how things get on. So finally, after a lot of sand breaking, at long last, we find the treasure chest. It took ages to find it, and as you can see here, I'm enjoying a brief moment of just realising that it's there. That was a lot of sand that we had to destroy to find that. Sometimes it just is like that, like, you know, it can be, sometimes it's just luck of the draw, you know, you can find it in like the first few hits of sand. Sometimes you literally have to mine an entire island to locate where it is, because sometimes it can be buried quite far down, and you can get a little bit misled with where it actually might be or is. The map's not always entirely 100% accurate in terms of where it is on the island. As you can see here, I'm kind of doing some very small brain plays here, thinking that I could reach it from up here without losing air supply. So I was trying to build like a little thing here like this, and then it turned out that I couldn't even look in there anyway. But I go underwater, we find more diamonds, we find iron ingots, we find gold ingots, we find 2 TNTs as well, which is pretty sick, to be fair, and that coveted heart of the sea, which will be used to make a conduit. So really, really good little find, and a really good way to end off this video. But yes, guys, if you did enjoy this video and you want to see more content like this, please do drop us a subscribe, give the video a like, make a comment in the comment section below. I accept, like, you know, all kinds of constructive criticism on these videos. If there's things you'd like to see improved, then do drop those in the comments as well. But also don't forget to turn on that notification bell, and as always, I will see you in the next video. Take care, guys.